Greetings, everyone. Core here, and it's time for another Midnight Review. Granted, for me, they're kind of early morning reviews now, but the video goes up roughly about the same time, if not a little later than before, for those of you that did care. But anyways, so this week I went to go see X-Men Apocalypse, which is a really great movie. I mean, I saw some of the early reviews from critics and everyone, and Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting like at a 45 or something like that right now, and it is not that low, at least for someone that has seen a lot of comic book movies and loved the comic book movies, especially Marvel Universe. Even though this isn't Marvel Universe, it's Fox Universe, I like to call it, and I think a lot of people do too. Um, it is a different universe, but it's a more grounded universe than compared to most other ones. It's kind of like it's very similar to Dark Knight, if you want to say that. Um, but of course they do have powers. Where Dark Knight is a world without powers. It's just ordinary people pretty much and their skill, which that's perfect for Batman. But yeah, so this one is definitely it's really great. It's really good. It's really amazing. Um, I can't say anything wrong about it. The pacing was actually really good because from some of the critic reviews and stuff that gave it 40 whatever, it said it was kind of sporadic. It was kind of all over the place. There was a lot there, but not enough given to each moment, which I feel there was enough given to each moment. Granted, of course, I do have a lot of knowledge in the comic book universe, so I know where a lot of these characters come from and their backgrounds and stuff. But these aren't the same characters from the books. There is a lot of similarities, about 90% similarities, but there's still that 10 that make them quite different, especially since if you think about it, the team that's forming, is Mystique is a big part of it, which usually she was always the loner, she was always working for Magneto, or she was usually a bad guy. Now she's kind of a good guy, but she's in that neutral good. Where Professor X is, of course, good, and Magneto is kind of neutral bad in a way. He does the right thing in the end, and he believes he's doing the right thing in a lot of his causes, but he does do a lot of bad stuff too. Um, which I gotta say, this movie is really good. Everyone gets their moment to shine. Everyone gets their story told, you know, well enough. Especially there was really like out of the main cast, I couldn't think of anyone, especially the newer characters like Cyclops, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, Psylocke. Who Psylocke is a little. She's not as drawn out as some of the other horsemen of Apocalypse. I think I can't really say who. I mean, Magneto, of course, he's already drawn out, so he doesn't count. Um, Storm does get a pretty good story, and it's really interesting that they went back to her original story. Excuse my phone. R2 is notifying me. But yeah, I should probably silence that while I can. But so yeah, that's pretty much. Angel even gets a nice little story too, and he's actually seems more of a threat than previously. So that's really cool to see, especially how he got his wings. Spoiler, um, he gets his metallic wings, which of course, if you've seen the '90s cartoons or any other, source material that has Angel with Apocalypse, he gets his metal wings. Granted, he doesn't quite get his, whole outfit, but he gets pretty close to it. And I gotta say, he definitely seems like a threat, which normally he was kind of the laughing stock a lot of times, but he's definitely a threat now. So that's really cool to see. Apocalypse, I kind of wish he was a little bigger. Um, it's most of the time I grew up with the '90s cartoon of X-Men, and every time they had Apocalypse, he was this giant Hulk, almost juggernaut sized guy. Because for one, he was a shapeshifter, so he could grow bigger and smaller. But normally, his normal size was always bigger and bulkier than most of the characters. So they gave him his more intimidation factor, along with his voice, which his voice is really intimidating here. So it is really great to hear that, and it's pretty similar to the cartoon. Little differences here and there, but it's definitely has kind of that mystique kind of sound to it. That's really cool to hear. The look does look really apocalypsy. Granted, he doesn't look like he can really move his head too much, kind of like how Christopher Nolan's Batman, in the third one they kind of made fun. It's like, I like to move my neck, and I feel like he would like to move his neck because he looks pretty restricted in that outfit, which, I mean, pays plays to his, style, because he's all intimidating, all powerful. He doesn't really need to be as agile or be as, aware of his surroundings, because he's has really nothing to worry about because of his power. Which, of course, in here, his power is pretty much he transfers his body and mind to a new mutant, which he takes along all the powers from previous mutants that he had used up pretty much their bodies to their fullest, and then transfers over to another one. So then he just is an assortment of mutant powers, and it's pretty incredible. It's really cool to see some of the powers that he has in here that he didn't quite have before. But yeah, I gotta say he's a really good villain. The action scenes were really cool, really amazing. They've really done their homework on a lot of these things. They made it look realistic, but also gave it that mutant superpower feel to it. And the pacing was amazing. That's the one thing I could say the best thing about, because a lot of critics, they gave it around a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, high 40s, granted, but it is definitely not a movie that deserves that because it's paced really well, which that's one of the gripes that a lot of critics had. Um, all the information that's given to you isn't just thrown in your face, kind of like Batman and Superman. It's actually given its time. It's given its focus. It's not, you know, bam, 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 quick, quick, quick. It's gives a nice pacing because there's three different stories roughly pretty much going on at once, and then they all come together. So, there's Mystique's story, there's Magneto's story, there's Apocalypse story. And then, of course, there's Professor X, but he usually comes in when Mystique and them come around. So there's a few stories going around the whole time. So it's really cool to see them jump back and forth to see what's going on at this precise time, in the time frame and all that stuff. But the one thing I do want to point out, the music is really cool, especially the opening scene. It's a really great music that they have going on. It feels epic. It feels apocalyptic. um, and it's really cool to see. I mean, if I had to nitpick, the only thing would be like the CG scenery. When they zoomed out and gave it like a big scope view of the whole city and everything, it does look a little fake sometimes, especially at the very end. A couple of the scenes do look pretty fake, but everything else looked amazing. The big scene, which was um, Quicksilver's scene where he's I don't want to spoil it because I try not to spoil it in these videos, but his scene, of course, if you've seen uh, Days of Future Past, he has that one kitchen scene where it's just something. It stills the show. It stills the whole movie. Everyone remembers that scene, and he has another scene just like that, but on a grander scale, and it just stills every moment. And he does play a bigger part in this movie. So that's really cool to see how he could affect how he's actually being used pretty much compared to Days of Future Past where he just had that one scene and he was forgotten. He's actually being used. Same with Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is really badass. Jean Grey has really cool. It's really interesting how they're taking how they're writing her. I guess you could say how they're the path that they're going to take with her. So that's really cool. I kind of hope there's a fourth one, which there's not really anything going on right now, but I feel like there's going to be a fourth, whether that's going to be um, same director and everything. But the fourth one should be pretty amazing. I really wish they would put the X-Men in the Marvel Universe. Granted, there's a lot of, things that are really cool about this Fox universe, but come on, everyone wants to see them in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Since Spider-Man's already come in, everyone wants to see everyone else, especially Fantastic Four. I think they need to get back into the Marvel Cinematic just to do them justice for once. But yeah, I mean, there's really, I can't think of anything wrong. It's definitely a 9 movie for sure, 9 out of 10. There wasn't anything that was bad about it besides, like I said, the one thing I nitpicked was some of the CG scenery that they have, where it's a grand stage and everything. It does look a little fake sometimes, but they're very far and few between. So everything else just looks amazing. The story's great. The whole writing, the lines, that are like the Easter egg lines and everything, are really cool. It's it's definitely a good movie. It's definitely a movie so far this year that I didn't really have too much high hopes for, and it's definitely given me some really good. It's definitely lived up past my initial thoughts about it, and I always try to stay away from as much material from these movies that I look forward to, and I did look forward to it. Not as much as you know Captain America, not as much as Batman Superman, which was disappointing, but had its good moments. But this has great moments all the time, and I want to see more. That's all I can say. Uh, and of course, if you've seen the trailers, you know who makes an appearance, which is actually a really cool appearance. Um, like I said, I don't want to spoil. Definitely go see this if you like comic book movies. If you like any of the X-Men movies previously, especially if you like the whole you know First Class series, which I like to think of this as the First Class, since that's the first movie. Um, this new era of X-Men movies are really great, really incredible. I'm glad that they made them, and I think they'll stick around for quite a while because there's really nothing that's too dated in them because they're period pieces, and those usually last the best. But yeah, so next week I am looking forward to seeing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows because I was the few that actually liked the first one, and I grew up with the turtles, so definitely look forward to that. So until next week, guys. See ya.